We're riding through, trying to stay alive, trying to stay alive. So good, guys, man. It seems that things are back with the Bundesliga, potentially with the Premier League. We're probably going to get first to the Premier League news that has happened, and then we'll then go stuck into the Bundesliga and whether we saw a bunch of preseason bricks or if guys were actually pretty impressive. Erling Haaland still looks like a James Bond villain. But before we do that, Nix and Devil, how have things been? How's life been? How has your week been? Because again, apologies we couldn't do stuff on Thursday. Devil and Nix had to meet with some business investors and stuff. Was it like Bill Gates or Bezos or something? So I think they have like a few like multi-million-dollar deals that they're working on. So they said multi-million-dollar deal or talk with a Nigerian with shades. I think that's an easy thing. So how did the business meeting go on Thursday, and how are things in general?
Actually, the business meeting was with a Nigerian with shades. So needless to say, I don't think it's going to happen. Something just told me it weren't quite what he says it was.
So is it because he's Nigerian, or you just feel that generally you don't think it's going to happen?
No, just generally I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. But I would say that's half hope and half faith. That's what I say, half hope and half faith. Nix, what about you? How has life been treating you this year?
We trod on. Happy to be alive. I didn't make it down to Hyde Park this weekend. I heard there was a big party going on down there.
What actually happened in Hyde Park? Could you say, was it like a massive like anti-5G protest at Hyde Park or something?
Anti-lockdown protest. Or anti-lockdown picnic. I heard it was like a big picnic or something like that, kind of in protest.
Yeah. How old were these people? Like, were they like 15, 16-year-olds?
Oh, Jeremy Corbyn's brother was there, isn't it? He got arrested. Yeah, 70-something he is.
Oh wow! Yeah, big people.
You're big people, big grown, educated people.
Man, that's wild, man, as well. So, look, man, so obviously, before we even get really straight into this whole Bundesliga thing, and I think the thoughts and everything has been about this whole Premier League thing, and now because it was so funny, like I was reading something. I don't know whether you guys saw this about what's it called, Troy Deeney, and about how Troy Deeney was sort of saying how that there's been like a lack of testing and stuff for BAM players and everything, and he just felt that there should have been this disproportionate. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and this whole Danny Rose thing. So Tuesday, and also I think one of you posted it in the group that Scotland have declared the league.
Yeah.
So and someone is going to sue these guys because they're going to get relegated Hearts. Yeah. So my thing though is, so we're hearing that small groups, which is pretty much how Bundesliga started, Syria and everything, was small groups are now starting to training and so forth. And people are now saying this is now a big step towards the Premier League returning. So first question is this too soon? Are people being a little bit too hasty with trying to get guys back onto the pitch and so forth?
I don't know. Like for me, I'm no scientist in it, so it's very hard for me to make a judgment to say whether or not it's too soon. What I do know, what is weird to me is that I was like, nobody should come back before it's safe to do so. But then you see in the Bundesliga, for example, they've got subs sitting 2 meters apart. Then you got players not celebrating properly, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, if they're having to do all of those precautions, maybe it's not safe to restart, because it's a contact sport. You're gonna be in contact with each other. So if you're not,
and I need to actually ask something about that, because I saw something very hypocritical in the Bundesliga. But carry on.
If it's not safe enough to be in contact with people who you are supposed to be in contact with, then maybe you shouldn't return. Now, they could argue that it's just the publicity kind of thing to show that, full social distance where you can kind of thing. I don't know. But I would say if these players are put back out there and we're saying it's safe enough to play, let them play properly. Don't be half-hearted with it. It's either safe enough to play or it's not safe enough to play.
So it's either full contact with no masks or nothing at all.
Yeah, correct.
It's either safe or it isn't.
I'm not saying bring 70,000 people into the stadium, but
Yeah.
if you're saying you lot are safe enough to play because you've been tested, etc., then let them play properly. I'm not saying the game is not being disrupted by it, but it's just more weirder than it needs to be.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You have, as you said, the subs sitting 2 meters apart, but I'm pretty sure they will travel to the ground together. I'm pretty sure in the changing room, they will sat in the changing room together. So it's literally just for public viewing that they are taking part in this social distancing. But then you see them on the pitch, the referee, when they're doing the coin toss, the referee and the players are two meters apart. As soon as the game starts, they're all right next to each other, they're in the box, tugging each other and everything like that. To celebrate, you can't shake hands, you can't hug and celebrate. But at a corner, you could tear the other player's shirt off, and you're all spitting on the floor. And do you know what I mean? All kind of thing like that. It's either it's safe to play or it isn't. I understand all the guidelines in terms of testing and making sure everyone's safe. But once you've done the testing and you know everyone's safe, let them play football.
Yeah.
What's all this? This is just stupid. It's stupid.
No. But that's why it's like, I don't know whether we want to get to it now, because there's something. Basically, does he always come when we're recording, or?
Well, usually she's asleep, but today she decided she wants to be awake from the beginning. So
basically, my thing, because I want to comment on that when we talk about the Bundesliga in total, which is of the hypocrisy of what's on the pitch and what is off the pitch. But focusing on the Premier League, do you think that we are going to see a massive standoff between the players and the FA and the Premier League thing? Or do you think that's because I think there's going to be a huge standoff. I think there's going to be a sizable amount of players that say, wait a minute, these guys are just trying to rush us in to raise morale. These guys just want to rush us in because they want to try and save cash. Do they really care about our safety? My thing is that I say to people that don't be confident because you're seeing the Bundesliga go through. How Germany dealt with it is different from how England dealt with it. So you are able to do that because of how we're able to do it.
What is it that Troy Deeney said? I know what Danny Rose said. What did Troy Deeney say?
He was saying that there are still other players that still feel very concerned with the safety. And he also saying that he was referencing the BAME, BAM kind of like group who have not really been tested as much, and there's been like a disproportionate kind of testing with regards to people of the BAME group and the rest. But I think his main message was similar to Daniel Rose's. There are still sort of concerns with how safe it's going to be of us coming into the Premier League, because again, England's thing isn't the same as Germany's. It's not the same. It's not the same.
He also
there's going to be more risk with Premier League coming back.
Yeah, he said he's not willing to put his family at risk, and if they want to take money off him, that's fine. He's been broke before. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, his family safety is what comes first. So it's quite a strong statement when you actually think of what he said.
But that's the kind of guy Troy Deeney is, though. So
yeah, but it's quite a strong statement. And in terms of will there be a massive standoff, I don't think there will. No. But I understand why players are more concerned, because of the way, as you said, the way this country has handled it so far hasn't really given anyone confidence. And not just the government, but also the way that the Premier League and the noises being made by the FA, where it's been, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this. It hasn't sounded like they have a concrete plan in place. If I was a player, I would be a bit like, well, you don't really know what you're doing. Until you can guarantee me what you're going to do, and I know that you're taking this guideline and this is what's in place and this is what we're doing, I'm going to be a bit iffy as well, because you don't know what you're doing. So how can you make me believe that you know what you're doing when it's clear that everyone in this country can see no one has a handle on this? So until they can do that, I think there's going to be a lot of players who are going to be like, because I think Sterling said something as well about he's not sure. I think De Bruyne said something.
That he has
I think De Bruyne said something as well. So I think there's going to be a few who are a bit like, show us that we can have faith in you, and then we'll play. Until they have that, I think there are going to be one or two players that are going to be a bit iffy. I don't think there'll be a massive standoff. I think they'll just say, you know what, I'm not ready. they'll go ahead without them.
Yeah,
That's what we've got to score from.
I guess we will see. Again, there's no date yet put in place. I think the 12th of June was mooted. But I think when everyone comes back to training, I think you'll see how many players are kind of for the idea of coming back to play or not. If everyone comes back to training, I'm not saying you don't care about your family's life, but you are comfortable enough with the situation to go to training and go home, and go back to training and go home and interact with people in that way. Which tells me that those players will be more likely, if not certain, to be ready to play whenever that time comes. The likes of a Troy Deeney, Danny Rose, I'm not against anything they say. Everyone has the right to their opinion and their stance and that kind of thing. And I'm sure most clubs will take that into account. If they're that concerned about, playing a match, then I'll be surprised to see them at training. So I think from training, you'll get a gauge on where the players are at.
Okay.
So it's a massive, massive standoff.
So let me just say this. So from the think of the super chats. If olive oil comes from olives, what does baby oil come from? It's from chemicals or something. It doesn't come from babies. So yeah, I mean, baby oil. Look, because I use Johnson's baby oil. I've been using that since I was young, and I still use it now as a 30s.
I don't like
it, dude. What?
I don't like it, man.
Nah, man, you can't be using baby oil, man.
I use cocoa butter.
Cocoa butter.
See, look, you're just being bougie, man. You're just being bougie.
That's not bougie.
That's bougie.
Shea butter was good.
No, that's being bougie. So another one here says, so thank you for culture notes for super chat. 2016 beats MS. I think he's an Atletico fan. So 2016 beats MSN, Bayern, Ramos offside goal. So cruel.
Wait, was that offside goal in the final?
What is it?
Offside goal in the final.
I believe they were showing it again because your homeboy, English ref, he said that looking back at it, it was actually offside. He said that he would have been given offside.
When was the goal scored? There was plenty of time left. Like that wasn't like the goal in 2014 where it was the last minute. When Ramos scored that goal, there was plenty of time left for either side to get another goal. Come on, man.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Bundesliga kicked off this weekend, man. And before we even get to the quality of football, which me and Devo sort of disagreed upon, let's just look at, and this is what I wanted to talk about, this whole behind closed doors thing. So when I looked at that, I would say, okay, this doesn't make any sense. Because I thought that everyone is tested, everyone here is negative. Those who are positive are not doing their 14-day quarantine like the guys from Cologne. So when you now go, subs, everyone can kiss, hug, hit each other, spit in each other's faces, all that kind of stuff. They can slap each other, all that kind of stuff. But I was like, okay, guys are playing football. It's full contact. I'm not seeing any osmosis tackles or anything like that. But on the subs bench, some guys are wearing masks, some guys aren't. And they're not sitting and parts. I was like, this makes no sense. Because you, the sub that's on the bench, when you come on, you can't social distance when you're on the pitch. So when you come in, we don't play. And also, the whole celebration thing was cool. But then I saw Bayern's game, and Goretzka and Muller were all like hugging each other, because I think they forgot that they hold each other. So it's confusing. But then when I talked to guys about it, when we sort of did the hangout, I get it. It's a message. Because are you going to listen to a dude that can't come and say like Boris Johnson? Or are you going to listen to and follow a Harry Kane or a Henderson? So these young kids...
Have hope.
What is it?
When it comes to the British public, nobody ain't listening to nobody. People are...
Exactly.
Whether it's coming from Harry Kane or Jeremy Corbyn.
So you're saying that, okay, another Harry Kane is still learning English, but you're saying that his actions can sort of inspire young people. Oh my gosh, Harry Kane, oh cool.
No.
I mean, the most you'll get is people will start doing a social distance celebration as a copy celebration, not because they care about the social distancing. Listen, look how many people. I don't know how many people. But
my point is that,
and I'm sure a lot of them are football fans.
No. But basically, the point I'm making is that this was done as just a promotional thing. So my thing for you is that before we really get into the games and so forth, looking at this now, Do you think and do you believe this can last? So what does your gut feeling say? Do you think that this kind of thing over there can last, or do you think that, again, I'm like a worst case scenario dude. Some guy gets positive, someone dies. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Or someone gets positive, or several people get positive, and so forth. And we all start from zero. So based on just what you're seeing, can they carry on during this months from now to the end of the season, man?
Well, what I heard was actually, I think it was from Simon Stone. I think he saw him tweet something to do with the Premier League, and he said that this kind of match where they got behind closed doors, etc., is expected to be in place for the next 6 to 12 months. Mm-hmm. So fans ain't going to the stadium until, I would say, until the start of not next season, the season after, so 2021-22 season. That's from what he was saying, that the next 6 to 12 months, this is going to be the status quo. I think I said it on the last dugout that I was on, and I said that coronavirus is here to stay, in the sense that we're never going to get rid of it. The diseases now exist. People are going to continue to get it.
Yeah, that's right. We have to live with it somehow, one way or another.
It's just about, and this is with or without a vaccine, it's still going to be there. It's just about whether or not the health services can cope with the numbers of people getting it. So I think in the early days, if somebody gets it or gets seriously ill from it, then you could see a sudden stop again to football, to the season. If we maybe get through to the latter stage of the year and then people are getting it here and there, I think it'll just be all right. That person has to be out for the next 2 weeks, and then we continue, we carry on. Football, because if you don't do that, then you have to just cancel football forever. You have to social distance for the rest of your life, because coronavirus will be here for the rest of our lives, like the flu, like pneumonia, like plenty other diseases. Just about really controlling it. But I think the next, I would say, we're in May now. I would say between now and maybe July, August is really key. If the numbers of players are low to 0% of players getting it, then I think football will be able to continue in the future months.
It depends as well. It depends on the country. Depends on how the country's dealt with it. Because, some countries are saying that you can have gatherings of up to 30 people from potentially this date, whether that be July or whatever. But before we get to something where you can have upwards of 10, all the way up to 60, 70,000 people in a stadium, that's going to take a long time before we get to that. Because how do you control that? So football as we know it is not going to come back for a very long time. We will have football, but it won't be what it was. Filling out stadiums of 30, 40,000 is not going to happen. I think behind closed doors, you could control that, because you only have to deal with staff and a certain amount of people. And the clubs are pretty much responsible for that. Once you start bringing in thousands of people, now you're looking at who's responsible for all these people. Is that the police? Is that the stadium staff? Who does that? Who can control these masses of people? It's not going to happen. So as Nick said, I've seen something as well where it says we're not going to get fans in the stadium till at least 2021. How clubs will get around the empty stadium things, because
you have to think about gates receipts and all that.
That's what I'm saying. It's all well and good it happening now for a short period of time, but if this becomes a norm for 2 years, who can handle that kind of financial loss? It's going to change things massively.
Real quick before I forget, do you think then, let me send this to you and then you can finish. What if they do a thing? Everything's on the internet now. You create a specific platform, video platform, where you pay a fee, either a match fee or whatever, you pay a fee and you gain. Because I can see how guys can run it, but you pay a fee and you have exclusive access to view that game online.
Yeah, but what if
like guys can share it and all that kind of crap?
What if I support Burton Albion? What if I support Havant and Waterlooville? What like Wimbledon, MK Dons? How do fans of the clubs who don't maybe have their own channels, who don't have the resources does the Football League have the resources to grant streaming access to all the clubs in the Football League? Like, yeah, there'll be fans there who can pay a certain amount. Would they be paying the same price, a £40 price that say you pay for a ticket? Would they be willing to pay that for one match? Receipts, or the match day receipts, you might say, whether it's online or in the ground, they're gonna go down because of this. And yeah, we can maybe have a solution for the big clubs, but there's more small clubs than there are big clubs in the world, isn't it? So the big clubs might survive, but the smaller clubs, the longer we have it without any fans, you're going to see a lot of clubs suffering. And then you got this whole relegation thing. And that's why clubs like Hearts are suing, because the financial impact for them and any club being relegated is huge. They can't afford to be out of the top division. There are players that they need to pay that they might have to go and sell if they're not in the top division. So the financial impact is huge. And I don't think an online service will kind of bridge the gap.
Yeah, and to go back to your initial point about it being hypercritical, kind of, you're staying 2 meters apart and all this kind of stuff. It is purely for public consumption. It is purely to send the right message to the public. I think they must know how stupid it is to have players standing 2 meters apart and then playing a game such as football, where you're literally in each other's pockets for 90 minutes. You're sweating on each other. You know what I mean? You're rolling around in other people's spit. Do you know what I mean? It's this. That's the truth of the game. That's the truth of the game. So they must know that is the case. But it is purely for the public, because if they didn't do that, I guarantee you, some idiot in a forum somewhere would be, oh, they're not doing this. They're not doing guidelines. Why am I locked in my house? Yeah. You know what I mean? You know exactly that's what's going to happen. So they have to.
That's key. Yeah.
Yeah. With social media, I guess you have to be careful. You have to be careful with the image you put. Your perception is everything, especially in this day and age.
But this is why I said that, because you basically shot me down when I said, oh, people won't listen to a Hurricane, all those kind of people. It's just about perception. These younger people are more likely to be subliminally affected by these football guys that they have posters of and they're obsessed with. If Cristiano, who has literal people who literally get plastic surgery to look like him, if Cristiano is doing the whole social distancing thing, people will listen. Like, my God and my surrogate father is doing social distancing.
I do hear you, and I didn't mean to shut you down, as you said, but I do hear you. However, remember when the celebrities first came out, around when the coronavirus was kind of at its peak, or approached its peak, and they were kind of talking about, we have to stay at home, and we're at home, and but guys, it's important to stay at home. And then people were like, yeah, it's easy for you to say in your 7-bedroom apartment with your 6 acres worth of garden, but when I'm up in the top floor of my Pembury estate, like, I've got a little children's garden in the middle of the car park or playground that's banned because they put the tape around all the swings. We don't live the same life.
But so you're going to like extreme detail.
No, it's true. That's how people think.
That's how it is in Pembury. No, in Pembury. But that's how a lot of estates are. Like, you have these flats and they have one little park in the middle. Sometimes you get like a basketball court. All of that's taped up. They can't do nothing. So even celebrities have to be careful, because they might put out a certain message. And as I said, the way the world is now, and you know how a lot of people like to complain. A lot of people like to play. They're gonna be on there. So certain times celebrities better to not say nothing.
Yeah.
Just don't say anything. Just go about, do your business. If you want to do a little keep you up challenge with a tissue, fair enough, cool. When you start trying to give advice to people who you ain't in their situation, a lot of people take it seriously. So
yeah,
be careful.
So let's now look at mainly the game now. So obviously, Bundesliga kicked off and everything. So I watched the Dortmund Schalke game, bits of the Leipzig Freiburg game, and the Bayern against Union Berlin game. So from what I saw, first 5 minutes, all right, these guys are looking a bit tricky. But afterwards, I thought Dortmund looked pretty damn good in terms of their passing, their movements off the ball, their connectivity, the chemistry. I was like, no, Dortmund are looking very, very slick. Schalke were trash. But now, my thing is, were Schalke trash because of they've been affected by the whole lockdown thing, or Schalke just trash, born trash garbage? Because it's the same dudes that lost to Man City. But then I now look at, I then saw the Bayern Union Berlin game. And the game was slower. Bayern didn't play as well. But Union Berlin looked more robust and more in sync than what Schalke did. Because I remember Union Berlin, these guys have only just been promoted, so these guys are not going to be superb. They're never going to beat Bayern Munich, but they were actually able to hold the Bayern Munich and so forth in what was much more of a watchable game. So from what I saw, I think Dortmund impressed me the most. You know, it seemed as if like Dortmund, like they had not taken a break. But the issue is, was it because Dortmund they've prepared so well for this, or is it because Schalke was so bad and Schalke allowed them to look that good? Because we're also going to get to Erling Haaland and Lewandowski. But what did you take from the games that you saw? Were you impressed by how good guys were, or did you pretty much expect that guys were not going to be looking as slick and as smooth?
Let me come in. I just want to say shout out to my boy Zard. That's Thorgan Hazard, the real Hazard, the only Hazard we honor and we respect.
Nicks, relax. Nicks, Torgan Hazard is trash. He knows he's trash. And he'll never be like his big brother.
He's not trash, bro.
Can we just
trash.
narrative? Sad is top 3. And can you just please answer the damn question?
Easy.
My issue is that you know a guy is amazing that I ask you a question. This has nothing to do with Eden Hazard, but you bring him in it.
It's his family.
I just said.
Are they really brothers? Are they really brothers? Prove it. Nicks, answer the damn question.
What I took away from the game is that Thorgan Hazard is the best footballer in his family. That's what I'm saying. Respect to man like, what's his name? Kylie, whatever his name is.
Nicks,
Killian.
Can you please answer this question, please?
Killian Hazard.
Yeah, it's just to Eden and Killian. I'm just saying, Thorgan Hazard, you did your thing and it got on the score sheet. But I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying last week in the sense that Dortmund being such a young team, I guess if you're comparing like them to Bayern Munich, who are a bit older, they're not old. They've got some old aging players, but they've still got some young players around. But Dortmund are a much younger team. The ability to stay fit is obviously going to be there as a youngster more so than someone who's a bit older. So I think that is an aspect to it. I think when it comes to Bayern Munich, it's a case of just doing the job. They just had to get the job done. They know they're better than Union Berlin. Dortmund versus Schalke is somewhat of a derby. So maybe
huge derby.
Yeah, I say that, but I mean, it's a bit one-sided, isn't it? That's why I say somewhat of a derby.
No.
Schalke
Have you seen
got
the
the better
record?
of them in the last 8 games. I think they've won more than Dortmund.
Schalke have the better record.
Yeah.
They have the better record.
I went into the game with no doubt that Dortmund were going to win. So that was just me in it. But there's a bit more energy that you might play with in a derby compared to the likes of Bayern Munich are playing, as you said, newly promoted Union Berlin. But I think, what can you really take away from these games? It really is just assessing where the teams are at. Are they have they dropped their level of fitness too much, or are they getting back to full fitness, max fitness, quicker than we expected? It's hard to say from one game. Schalke were poor. Schalke were very, very poor. I felt like they were social distancing from Bayern. No, I'm being serious. Like, they wasn't getting near them. It was a poor performance, and it's hard to judge it because maybe they're in preseason mode in that respect. Not intentionally, but you've been playing for a number of months. But so am I impressed with Dortmund? I guess I'm impressed with how they kept their fitness levels up more so than anything else. But it's a bit hard to judge like someone like Schalke.
So before I come to Devil, Nicks, I'd be remiss if I didn't listen to the people. Can we have a tour of your amazing looking room? So can you just take a camera and just take us around the room, because it looks really. I want to just see what the room looks like in full. So can you just do a quick tour?
1 second. Oh, what happened? Did it plug out? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, we have
Yeah.
to try it later. We'll try that.
Devil, please, can you speak on this thing, man?
Yeah. Firstly,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
before coming into this game, I know Schalke had a good record in the derby, but I knew they had no chance in this game. Schalke have not been good this season. I think they've lost 8 out of the last 9 now, including this game with Dortmund. They've only scored 1 in their last 5 before the game against Dortmund. So I knew there was no chance. They have had struggles getting goals, and Dortmund, we know they like to score for fun. But I did think for the first 20 minutes, Dortmund didn't look too cohesive. They were having trouble getting the ball to Haaland and getting the ball up the pitch. Schalke seemed comfortable in the first 20 minutes without causing any sorts of problems, but they seemed to contain, and then all of a sudden they just fell apart. Dortmund kind of clicked. Brandt started to get on the ball. They got Hazard. They got the 2 wing backs up and down the pitch, and kind of just basically in the end imposed their will. And also Schalke's goalkeeper is a pile of dog shit.
Oh,
He cannot kick the. And you know what's funny about that? This all comes back to Bayern Munich, because the only reason why Schubert is playing is because Bayern Munich have signed Nubel. So he signed for Bayern Munich, and the chairman of Schalke was pissed. Therefore, they dropped him. So Schubert was playing because of that. And it's come back to bite him in the arse because he can't kick the ball to save his life. I don't even think he made a save either. So yeah, they end up losing pretty badly. And I think Schalke are in trouble generally, whether they had a break or not. They kept their form from before the break, and it hasn't seemed to have changed. Unless they were allowed to sign some players in that break, I don't think it was going to change. I think Dortmund can be quite happy that they had that match on their return. And when we're talking about the players' fitness, the players who played seemed to do well. Sancho came on late, didn't look like the Jadon Sancho from before.
I wanna ask you guys about Sancho.
Injury, wasn't it?
Because many people, including myself, so many people were shocked that he didn't start. And then I sort of saw him for a brief process, probably about 20 minutes. So, okay, he looks all right. Then someone sent me an image of what he looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Castaway?
Yeah.
That it reminded me of Tom Hanks in Castaway because his hair, his beard, I saw like so in Souls That Only Want, that looks so. Do you think that Lucien Favre was sort of pissed off that he wasn't in the right physical kind of shape, and Torgan Hazard, the trash Hazard, started in his place instead of Sancho? So do you think that was it?
Hazard wasn't supposed to start. It was Reina.
Yeah, Reina. Sorry, Reina.
Giovanni Reina was supposed to start until the warm-up, and then Hazard got the call. But I think it's like pre-season. Some players come back from pre-season and they're not as fit as they should be. They haven't been doing their work at home as they should have. And I think that's what's happened with Sancho. He's come back and he's not at the same fitness levels as his teammates. So I think he's going to have to work extra hard now to get himself back into the kind of fitness that Favre is going to want him. But obviously he's going to play because he's an exceptional talent, but he just needs to prove that he could play for 90 minutes. So he might start the next game, but he might only make it to 60, 65 minutes. So I think there's going to be a lot of players, not just Sancho, there's going to be a lot of players in the Bundesliga who are suffering from the same thing, where they aren't at the same level as some of their colleagues because they haven't been putting in the work behind closed doors, funnily enough.
Too busy on Tory Lane's Instagram Live.
That's it. Do you know what I mean? Quarantine radio.
It's true because he's been on there.
Yeah, but then McTominay were on there and he looks like a machine. Did you see the picture he posted the other day?
It's okay. Look, it's.
But you see the comment from
Bruno Fernandes? Yeah,
he didn't start with the ball.
Okay. So
remember, I was saying, it might have been last week or the week before, that the players who were injured long term, everyone's going to get brought back to their level. They may even be past those players because when you get injured, especially long term, you're already in a mental state of, well, I'm out for this time. This is what I need to do to get back to whatever period. Whereas the players who were playing, you might say your likes of Sancho, for example, their season was just abruptly cut short, and now it's like, all right, what do I do? I wasn't planning for this. I'm not injured, so I'm not working my way back. What kind of training do I need to do? Am I gonna be, am I gonna stick to it? Whereas the likes of like a Rashford or Pogba, it's like it was just business as usual. nothing changed with the lockdown because they weren't playing anyway. So they had a regime that they had to stick to anyway. So when they come back now, it's like, all right, now they're returning back from injury. Whereas other players are like, oh, we was cut short, and now we're having to come back after this sudden hiatus. So I think a lot of players who are out injured could hit the ground running quicker than someone who wasn't before the lockdown.
Okay. So let me go into specifics now. So look, Erling Haaland, man. I mean, dude scored again, going on this great scoring thing. Actually, why are you guys smiling? Like, I didn't crack a joke. Like, okay, please, okay, look, Erling Haaland, all right, scores a goal, boom, boom, that's one scoring thing. And my thing is this, and people think that two things. First of all, people think that I'm actually racist against Caucasians because I critique his on-the-ball skills. Two of my best friends are Caucasian.
Where have I heard that?
Sorry, where have I heard that before? Like, hey man, my friends are black, you flipping monkey. So that's how I that. But look, but it's actually true. Two of my best friends are actually white, so screw you. So look. Basically, my thing here is that he has natural goal scoring talent, and he showed that it again. Can we please be real, guys? Can we please be real? Okay, look. Can we just admit that this dude on the ball skills are crap, and he needs to develop them. He looks like Edward Scissorhands trying to play football with his hands. So all I'm saying is that improve your own, because the guy, I'm sorry, he's garbage. I'm sorry. I know you know some space. He's garbage. Call me a racist. Call me an anti-white dude for saying that. Call me Malcolm X for saying that Erling Haaland on the ball is crap and he needs to improve his flipping on the ball skills. And if he does, he can now take his football to the very next level and score even more goals. So please, guys, please, can we just be honest on the assessment of Erling Haaland right now, please?
So, you know what it is? The problem that you have is that you're too extreme. Do you know what I mean? Yes, he can improve on the ball. Yes, he's a bit raw. His touch lets him down quite a lot. Sometimes he seems to rush. It's like he wants to do things too quickly and he messes up. He's 19 years old. He needs to be coached. Take your time. Think of what you want to do, vision it, and then execute. He needs to be coached. He is an immense goal scorer. I give you that. As an actual football player, he does need to improve and he can improve. But I think you do see glimpses of what he can do. I think sometimes in his head, he sees a picture of what he wants to do with the ball. And then as he's trying to do it, it's just not happening. I think what he needs to do is calm down sometimes, breathe, relax, and just play simple. You know, play to your strengths. But I think at the end of the day, if you put him in front of goal and you give him a sniff, he's going to score. And that's enough to forge a great career as a goal scorer. We've seen plenty of players do that. I think his build-up play is quite good. He brings others into play quite well. There are certain times where you see him jump up for a header and you know full well he doesn't know where he's heading this to. He's just jumping up for it. So he needs to be coached better in that regard. That will come. That will come with age. But to say he's garbage is a bit of an overstatement. I think that's where you fall down because you're a bit too extreme with your analogies and your description of him. He's not garbage. He's far from garbage.
No. On the ball. When he's on the ball, he looks really bad.
He's not garbage. He's far from that. It reminds me of someone did say he's a white Lukaku. Lukaku's not that bad on the ball. Lukaku will have one or two, probably more than one or two clips of him doing something bad on the ball. But if you watch him for 90 minutes throughout most games, that doesn't happen every time.
Yeah.
I think Lukaku has the same thing.
Let's be real. Lukaku is much better on the ball than Haaland.
Yeah, but
but I'm saying he has bad moments like where he may be calling Tims.
But what I'm saying is Lukaku at 19 was making them same mistakes on the ball as what Haaland is. But Lukaku was still doing that at 23, 24. So what I'm saying is that Haaland needs to be coached better to just relax on the ball. Sometimes Lukaku gets the ball and he's trying to do too much. And it's not in his locker. You know what I mean? Just simplify. Pass the ball off, knock it off to someone else, and then get yourself into a dangerous area. You don't need to do step overs and try and do this, that, the other. That's not your game. Don't do that. Give it to someone who can do that. Get in the box and finish chances. That's what you're there for. And I think he will get that in time.
Rodney in the chat, he said he was involved in 4 goals. HH. Ruud van Nistelrooy looked terrible, but was still great for Man United. But I'm actually going to challenge that because Ruud van Nistelrooy didn't look terrible for Man United. Now he wasn't Henry. If you want to compare him to Henry, then yeah. But as a number 9 as a striker, his link play was very, very good. The ball used to come into him, he would trap it, give it off to a Beckham, a Giggs, whoever, and make the run to the box. Which the likes of, as you mentioned, Lukaku, he struggled to do at times. Haaland, the control lets him down. The control didn't let down Van Nistelrooy. The only thing you might link Van Nistelrooy to Haaland is his predatory instinct in the box. But of course, Haaland's still got a way to go for it. But the thing with me is that whenever you look at players, you can always find a fault in them. Always. Pick any player you want, there's a fault. We can look at Messi and find a fault. We can look at Cristiano Ronaldo and find a fault. We can look at LA and find a fault. There's faults in every single player. But at 19 years old, what he's doing so far is phenomenal. So me personally,
was 17 and 18 in that CL.
I'm not saying he can't improve. Of course, every player can improve. Whether they do or not is another matter. But I would much rather focus on what he's doing great at 19 years old than I'm not saying nitpicking, but focusing, homing in on what he isn't doing. This is his first season. He started half a season in a top league, and he's scoring goals on a regular basis. So that's what I want to focus on. And the finish, that's what we should be focusing on.
All right, that finish was naughty. That goal from start to finish was.
I need to look at it, however. I know he meant to open his foot up, but did it hit his shin?
No.
I don't know. Maybe with my stream and the pixels weren't correlated, like on your sharp HD 50-inch BT screen, Devo. But
no,
I know he definitely tried to open his foot up, and it went where he wanted it to. But I was looking at it a couple of times, I was like, did I hear shin? But I mean,
see, that's nitpicking.
No, but I'm saying, but for me, he did what he wanted to do. Score a goal, and that's all that matters.
Yeah,
that is all that matters.
All right, so let me just take this quick super chat. It says that, thank you, Nancy. Says, he's basically, I think he's referencing Haaland. He's Giroud with bad control, but a great goal scorer. I think, that's, I mean, like, look, I mean, Giroud is actually all right with link play, but I think Giroud running with the ball is hell on earth. It's hell on earth because, again, the guy has zero skills with guys running with the ball and balance and what you can do when you have the ball at your feet. But look, I said again, it's not really nitpicking. It's like that's just an aspect of the game where I know he's young, so and I think he can improve. So the beauty is that if he was 29, then it's like, okay, you're screwed. But he's young. There's still a lot of improvement that he can do. So that's cool. So guys, send questions now. So because I think you guys will get this up. So send questions down. I'm going to take some questions. So start sending in questions for us right now. Another thing I want to ask you guys now. So Lewandowski, he's having a crazy season. So that penalty means he's now on 26 goals now, which is insane. So I think basically he's scored more goals than games that he's played in the league.
26 in the league. That 26 in the league.
And I think it's 40 in all competitions.
Yeah.
I think it's 40 in all competitions. So he's insane. He's absolutely flipping insane. So do you believe that Lewandowski has already done enough to go down as a striking legend based on just what he has done goal scoring wise for Dortmund and Bayern? Or do you think for him to really solidify his place as a legendary striker, he needs to either win the Champions League or have more than just that semi-final that he had in 2013 against Real Madrid? So does it really need an iconic moment in a CL semi-CL final or to win the Champions League before we say, yeah, this guy's a legend? Or is he already a legend based on what he's already done?
I think he's a legend in Germany in terms of what he's done in the Bundesliga. But I think, fans and people who watch football are always going to attach trophies and compare you to what other strikers have done. And it's funny because when we speak about Aguero, we don't always say he needs that Champions League to be considered a legend. Wait. What I'm saying is we will automatically just say he's a Premier League legend. Do you know what I mean? But when we talk about Lewandowski, people won't necessarily say he's a Bundesliga legend. They'll just say,
Oh, no,
he's
he is. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, if you deny that, you're being stupid. He is a Bundesliga legend. Come on.
Yeah.
Who doesn't say that?
But I'm saying this isn't necessarily what people will say. People just think of Premier League when they think of legends. They think Premier League, they think La Liga, they think Serie A. That's it. But he is definitely a Bundesliga legend, and there are some big legends there. When you think of people like Gerd Muller, he's sharing the table with them kind of guys. I do think that his lack of a Champions League will dent his legacy in terms of when everyone's talking about great strikers. But he's still got time. Bayern Munich, we don't know if they're going to finish it this season, but in the form that Bayern Munich are in, they've got to be one of the favourites for it. So he's still got time. But yeah, he's definitely a legend in Bundesliga in terms of the legendary strikers. I suppose even the strikers that are playing now, you think of your Suarez. I'm not going to say Messi and Ronaldo because they're clear, but you think of your Suarez's. I can't even think of anyone else, but I think it would be him at the very top of that next level underneath Suarez.
I would say, because if you think about, it's probably a bit of nostalgia for some of us, but we talk about the likes of Batistuta, Crespo, brilliant strikers, legends in their own right. You would never say they're the greatest number 9. You put the likes of Ronaldo as an R9 ahead of them, but we still speak about them in awe when we look back. Lewandowski, without a Champions League, we would still look back in awe to say what a wonderful striker he is. If he wants to go down as the best number 9 of all time, which I think he's past the stage to do that, he would have to be ripping up certain international tournaments. I know he plays for Poland, but he would have to be really performing at that level, and maybe Champions League as well already, if we're talking about the greatest of all time. But I think for what he's done already at a club level, just the sheer volume of goals, for me, he'll go down as a legend, because I would say in 10 years' time, we're still going to be talking about him. There's still going to be records that future Bundesliga strikers, possibly the likes of Haaland, are trying to beat, that Lewandowski has laid down. The fastest to score, what was it, 4 or 5 goals?
Yeah, like 11 minutes or something.
Yeah, he's got records of strikers. I don't know if he's got the top goal scorer in a season in Bundesliga. I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
He's on his way to get now, I think.
Yeah, so he's going to lay down a marker to say, all right, my name is in history. You don't have to go and beat it. And once you put your name in history, then you have to go down as a legend. Whether you're the best or not is another argument, but he's a legend.
All right, so let's take in some questions, guys. Remember, guys, send in some questions. Last 10, 12 minutes, we'll take in some of your cues. So, from Adach3, thank you for the super chat, bro. Do Liverpool need to add a young star, since most of their players are in their prime right now? So Trent and Robertson, they're quite young, aren't they?
Yeah.
How old is Robertson?
Gomez is young. I think Robertson's 25, 26, something like that.
Wait, let's see.
Gomez is young.
Yeah, 26.
He's 26.
Yeah. Fabinho's
and Robertson is 26.
How old is Fabinho?
Fabinho is...
He's 26.
26.
Yeah. Even though he's bald, he's 26.
So I think, look.
This current Liverpool team's got about 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
Them.
I think basically
the older players. So the Firmino maybe got a little less, maybe 3 years, but this team has got a solid 3-4 years still. Do you need to bring in some youngsters to make sure you continue your dynasty? Yes, but also you need to buy and sell at the right time. You need to know when a player has I'm not necessarily past his peak, but past his sell-by date for the club. Some players go on and continue at somewhere else, but their time at the club is over, and you need to replace them. And you might need to replace them with a person of similar age, or maybe someone who's also in their peak. So it doesn't have to be necessarily a 20, 21-year-old, especially because football managers don't last as long as they did. So Klopp buying a 20-year-old now is no guarantee that he's going to be able to bring that player to the prime. Ferguson did it so many times, because it was him. He'll bring it for a young person, and it'll be his duty to then bring that through into their prime, sell them on, and go again. But then you look at someone like a Zaha, who Fergie brought in, a new manager comes in, and that person's career at Man United don't work because many managers came in and managed that player at one time. So I think it's about buying the right players and getting rid at the right time rather than going, bringing through like a class of 92, so to speak, or 96.
You know what? You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say that about Fergie bringing in youngsters and being there throughout, for so long to actually see them come to fruition. The key is Klopp. Is Klopp going to be there long enough to bring in young stars, to see them reach their potential? Because is Klopp going to stay at Liverpool for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years? It doesn't really happen that much now in football management where you have someone stay at one club for such a long time. He might get to a stage where he's won all there is to win and say, you know what, let me go back to Germany and do this, or let me go to Spain and win some stuff. Because remember, managers are ambitious as well. Just as players are ambitious, managers are ambitious. So he might do that. If he does stay, then they probably will need to sign some young players. And I think Liverpool are the kind of club that will know when to sell their players. So I think if a Mane or something is, because what's Mane now, 29, 28, 29, something like that?
No.
I think so.
I mean, his hairline.
I'm not sure.
Seems a bit more. 28.
His hairline's 45. But
relax.
If Mane, I can't talk. My girlfriend did my hair, and jeez, this stays on. So if Mane is at his peak in terms of what they can receive for him over the next season or so, then it might be beneficial for them to sell him. I know the fans are probably saying, no, he's our best player. But if you can see he's about to hit the downward trend, take premium money for him, get someone else in. I think Liverpool are the kind of club that will do that.
By the end of this year, their front three will be 27, 28, and 29, I believe it is.
You can still get 2 or 3 years. You can still get
2 or 3 years. But you need to know the right time to break that up. Do you know what I mean? Before they start declining.
You look at someone like a Jadon Sancho, you look at someone like a Timo Werner, who, Leipzig, they drew this week. Bringing those players in, obviously the question is, where do they fit in? Well, if you bring them in now, and you in rotation, and you say, right, you're 30 years old, your time at Liverpool has come to an end. Not that you're a bad player, go somewhere else and carry on, but we need to make sure that we continue, we stay at the top. That's the only way you can stay at the top. If I don't want to bring, talk to us about Arsene Wenger, but so many players, he had loyalty where they didn't deserve it, when you need to be like, this player needs to move on, for the good of the player and for the good of the club. It's really about knowing when to move certain players on.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. So which manager's play style most resembles how you view football? So maybe I'll kick off. I always said that how Klopp played, his philosophy for his Dortmund side is closest to almost how I view football in the ideal sense. For me, I respect what Mourinho does and what Simeone does because it's about winning. But I say in terms of in an ideal scenario, in a utopia, how do I think? No, sorry. If we're saying all time, Frank Rijkaard's Holland side of 2000, that for me is football. This for me is football. Well, you could argue maybe his Barcelona side, but that's his Holland side in 2000. And it just even Rijkaard, how Rijkaard video game and how his teams played 100% of attack. The ball goes forward and there is a freedom he gives to players. He's not a role merchant or a tactical merchant. They are general tactics, but the main thing is we're gonna have fun. We're gonna have a ball, bring in the woman and everything. VIP area, drinks are free. Let's just ride. So for me, Rijkaard for me was the guy that most resembles how I view football.
Ferguson. I'm going to say Alex Ferguson. And the reason being because Ferguson was adaptable. He did what he needed to do to win a game of football. If it was attack and just tear a team apart, he knew how to do that. If it was defend for your lives, he knew how to do that. If it was tactical fouling, he knew how to do that. For me, football is about being adaptable to your scenarios and situations that are happening. And he was one of the very best at doing that. whoever was in front of him, he knew the best way to win a game. Well, given what was in front of him, and that's one thing I would say in terms of whose style I prefer to watch and whose football philosophy I enjoyed watching. Arsene Wenger, because when Wenger came in, we hadn't seen anything like that in this country. He was playing football that it took a few people a few years to catch up with what he was doing. I know I don't want to seem like one of those people, but the pace and power of which his teams played,
big, black and strong.
It was true. The pace and power that his teams played at when he first came in, people were bewildered. They didn't know. And it wasn't the pace of power that like kick the ball long, head it down, let's play like Wimbledon. You know what I mean? It was pace of power with technique. You know, technical players playing at very high technical levels at 100 miles per hour. And it was just breathtaking at times. Where I remember watching Arsenal was beating teams 3-4-0 in 20 minutes. By the time it hit, I remember Blackburn. I remember that game specifically. It was 4-0 after about 16 minutes. And I was just like, this is so good to watch. This is so much fun. Especially if you're a Blackburn fan, then obviously you must be like, why are we even bother? But as an Arsenal fan, it's like, we just knew 15 minutes, game done. Brilliant.
Yeah, for me, I mean, probably no surprise. Ferguson.
Oh, come on! I mean, no, don't, man, don't do that. Be creative, be different. Man.
I've got another name on my list as well, but I think I'm a fan of direct football, and I don't mean direct by long ball, but I mean getting the ball from back to front as quickly as possible. What is ticky-tacky nonsense? Like I said, nonsense. If it works, winning is the name of the game. So however you want to win, as long as you win, I ain't got a problem with it. Whether your name is Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola. But I think the quicker you get the ball from back to front, the more chance you have of scoring a goal. Because you have the ball is getting there quick. I don't know. I just like to see fast-flowing football. And, you know, it might be the Premier League that I grew up on, more so than the European-style football that has the impact on that. And it might be the reason why the other name I had is Carlo Ancelotti. Because as good as his teams play football in terms of on the floor, he gets the ball forward quickly. If you see a pass from deep and there's a man running, you're making that pass. You're not passing it sideways and bringing the whole team up with you and then saying, all right, you're in the final third now, let our creative players. No, you're making that long pass. Whether it's in the air or on the floor, it don't make a difference. And I think, so I like, you know, the Man United team we had in 2008, for example, where we were brilliant on the counter-attack. They could play ball, but we were devastating on the counter. The goal that we scored against Arsenal in the Champions League, the goal that we scored against Bolton in the Premier League, those kind of goals, I'm like, it's devastating, quick. That's the kind of football that I like, is quick football. So, yeah, Ferguson, I would say mid-2000s, and Ancelotti.
So, I mean, so before we go, so what is your view then on Pep? Because a lot of guys are shocked that we didn't pick Pep and everything. So what's your view on what Pep did well, which is sort of what Cruyff brought in, but Pep's whole style, which people argue that this is one of the great, most dominant tactical philosophies that the game has ever seen.
It was. And as Nick said, you have to admire it because it worked. It's a brilliant philosophy. But in terms of what I like to watch, I find it quite boring. I find it quite, do you know what I mean? It's kind of, it works and it has its own beauty in a way, because to keep the ball that long and to move a team out of shape takes a lot of patience, a lot of technical ability, a lot of high football IQ. So there's a lot to respect and a lot to admire about it. But that's not the kind of football I'd prefer to watch. I wouldn't mind watching that a little bit, but to watch it for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years is boring. Do you know what I mean? For me, it's boring. I want to see more. I want to see a bit more dynamism in my football. I want to see, players making runs and the ball being zipped through spaces, running onto things. I want to see like a bit more physicality in my football. I'm not saying I want to see passion and tackles flying in. Do you know what I mean? I like to see a little bit more physicality and a little bit more quick movement in terms of, sprinting with the ball and whatnot. But no one could take away from Pep what he's achieved and what his style and his ethos has done and what it has forced people to try to recreate. Is up there very much so. But I answered that question by what I prefer to watch.
The thing with me with that football, there has to be a goal at the end of every move for me to be excited by it. Because it's like you keep the ball so long. If you then lose it, it's like you just wasted my time. Whereas if you're moving the ball quickly, you lose it. Yeah, it's only 10 seconds of time that you may be wasted trying to score the goal. So we look at a Cambiasso goal that he scored in 2006 World Cup.
Incredible goal. One of the best goals of all time.
But if there was no goal at the end of it, it's like that. You was like all those passes for what? Like, and it's sometimes you look at that football where that football's so precise. Sometimes you're like, especially if your team ain't winning, shoot, just shoot. And it's
right. We did that for 10 years.
Yeah, you're right. See, when it works, it's beautiful. It's brilliant. When it doesn't, it's frustrating. Where you might compare someone like it's something, but say a Burnley. Their football is what it is. Whether it's work or not, this is what it's going to be. They're going to try and get the ball into the box and try and score a goal. When you got so much possession, I saw it under Van Gaal. That's even more frustrating. You're like, we've got 70% of the ball.
And you lost the game.
On target. That's ridiculous. You might as well just take a shot because you weren't scoring with 70% of the ball anyway.
All right, guys, look, man. So that is all it's from us here, man. So, guys, remember to like the video, hit like button. Remember to follow Nix and Devil. Their Twitter links are in the description.
You missed a super chat.
Oh shit!
From
sorry. And let me try and see. Hopefully, I can find it from here.
851.
Oh, there we go. All right. Quick look. Oh my god. So for it, thoughts on Uncle Rocco's so funny to me. So have you guys seen Boondocks?
Yes. I think listen.
I've seen bits of it. I've never watched the actual series.
Uncle Rocco is hilarious. He has so much self-hate in him that I can only laugh. Like I can't be angry at it. It's obviously it's all
no. Basically, he's like the Uncle Tom. Basically, he's like the Uncle Tom archetype
but he's Uncle Tom of Uncle Toms. He's more Uncle Tom than any John Barnes. Like black civil rights activist in his company. I'm being honest. John Barnes is Malcolm X compared to Uncle Rocco. And
is he like Bernie Mac? What film was it where Bernie Mac was there? Is it Don't Be a Menace?
Yes,
where Bernie Mac plays black police.
Yeah.
I hate black people.
Wait, was that in Menace to Society or Don't Be a Menace?
I think it's Don't Be a Menace. I'm not sure.
Uncle Ruckus is like praise, like he goes to the extreme, praise white Jesus. Like who even says white Jesus? Uncle Ruckus is white Jesus. Like it's I tell you, that guy is hilarious. But what why I like Boondocks, especially the early season 1 to season 2, it highlighted all the different people, different actors of the black community, and just took it up a level, took it up one notch, to make it obviously funny in it. And there's people like Uncle Ruckus out there, to a lesser extent, maybe.
No, because he becomes so popular that if on Twitter you see like a black guy sort of being fake, there's always an Uncle Rocco's image next to him. So he's not become part of popular culture. So he's like the kind of cool kind of mascot and everything, man. But
one of the best scenes, not the best, because there's some of them I can't even repeat online. But
no.
The best scene was one of the best anyway. He was in the court. He's relaying a courtroom scenario. And he's like, they had this black guy there. He was accused of murdering someone with some rifle, or a shotgun. He's like, he thought he was gonna get away with the old "I'm blind" excuse. And I think the guy was shot from 50 yards, and it was with a shotgun where you couldn't shoot that far. And the judge is like, all right, jury, let's go away and deliberate. My man just stood up. He goes, no, hang that now. Hang it. Oh, Uncle Ruckus, man.
No, that's right. No, because I think which is why Devil, you would love that show. Literally, if you watch, because like it's because the comedy is so, because like the guy, I think it's Aaron McGruder that does it. It's so searing and straight, and some of the stuff is so flipping hilarious and everything that it's like no. And also I kept getting them mixed up. Is this Regina Hall?
Yeah, Regina Hall plays both of them.
She voices both of the characters, which is crazy, which is absolutely crazy,
Yeah.
No, but the only issue is that the grandpa he died. Is it Witherspoon?
He's the
John Witherspoon, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
He died, which is
Yeah, Friday, that in Friday.
Yeah.
And, what's his name? Cat Williams is in it as a pimp named Slickback.
Pimp named Slickback.
That makes sense.
You gotta say the whole
makes sense.
thing. A pimp named Slickback. Can I call you shit Slickback for short? No, it's a pimp named Slickback.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, guys, look, man. Peace out to the guys and everything. That's be cool, be real, and who knows? I think maybe it's something we should discuss about, which is maybe that could be an interesting kind of Patreon incentive that we take like an episode of Boondocks and we watch it because I now know how we can watch anything, episodes and stuff on this whole StreamYard format with sound and everything. So we watch like an episode of Boondocks and we basically break it down and so forth. So that could be like a Patreon thing. I'll think about it. But guys, remember to get subscribed to our Patreon to support your boys, Nix and Devil. The Twitter links are below. Check the description box below, click on it. And remember, we are back here on Thursday for our Q&A this Thursday at 8 p.m.
And before we go, just to say, I saw someone say in the chat earlier, Last Dance, very, very good documentary, but Muhammad Ali is still the greatest of all time. Don't forget it.
Oh, you see, I was literally about to just leave this stream. I was literally about to just press end the broadcast. Let me ask you this.
I haven't seen the last 2 episodes. I haven't seen the last 2 episodes.
Oh, you've not seen the last 2 episodes. But let me ask you this: Did Muhammad Ali popularize boxing as much as Jordan popularized basketball?
No, I'd say no. Basketball is an American sport. Boxing was already worldwide before Muhammad Ali came in. But Muhammad Ali's impact, regardless of boxing being worldwide, his impact on the world within and outside of boxing is bigger than Michael Jordan's.
Yes.
Even without having, Air Ali.
So
what's crazy? And I only really thought about this the other day because I was watching The Chase and it was one of the questions. But Ali managed to put on a boxing match in deepest, darkest Africa. Proper Africa.
Yep.
And it did numbers.
Crazy.
Numbers. No one's done that since. And that was in the 70s.
74.
That was in the 70s.
74,
Think of the impact of that alone and what that is. That's mental.
And the Ali's so smart. Ali was a bigger person than boxing. His mind was crazy. The fact that he even went to Africa to do that against Foreman, he knew what he was doing. Foreman was the villain. Foreman was the sheep in the wolf in sheep's clothing. He was the black man, but the American.
Yeah,
Ali was the global black person worldwide. Everyone was supporting Ali. Ali said, "No, we're gonna take this to Africa." Ali Boumaye.
Yeah.
You're shouting Jordan Boumaye. No one's doing that. Respect Jordan. Don't get me wrong, respect Michael Jordan, but Ali's still the GOAT.
All right. Okay, so guys, before we get out, remember again, just remind you guys, follow us on our Patreon link. The link is below in the description box. Remember to also follow Nix and Devil for their Twitters in the description box below. We'll see you guys Thursday, 8 p.m. Peace out.
Peace.
Bye, guys.
Peace.